Today I want to go over a buying guide for Honda S2000s. I see a lot of people posting a lot of questions on cars for sale about the S2000. My car is actually quite modified, but not extremely modified. It's more of like a OEM Plus build. But I'm just going to kind of go over the points for people looking to purchase or get into Honda S2000. This is going to mostly pertain to AP1s. I'm going to try to do this in one shot. So the first thing you're going to want to make sure is that the car has all matching VIN numbers. So this is my VIN. There's a VIN here. You can't really see it, but there's a VIN under this little cooling plate here. There's a VIN here. There's a VIN on the bumper. And there's VINs in the doors. So you'll see a VIN number on the door. You'll see a VIN number here. There's a total of 10 VINs on the vehicle. So if you're looking to buy an S2000, it's obviously best that the VINs match. As you can tell, my car actually have an AP2 bumper. So my VIN's obviously not going to match with my bumper. And this car actually has been an accident. I do have my original AP1 bumper. It's in good shape. I just have the AP2 bumper on right now. And another thing, just exterior-wise, S2000s are going to be prone to rock chips. Don't be alarmed if you find a car that has rock chips. If you drive the car, it's just going to get rock chips. This is how it is. The car is so low to the ground, it's going to get rock chips. My car got smacked on the freeway by like a piece of wire or something, and it messed up the paint right there. But at the end of the day, the car is made to be driven, and that's what it does. You want to make sure that when you're buying a car, that the headlights aren't too hazy and they work correctly, obviously, and they also don't have water leaking in them. As you can see, my headlights are actually in really good shape. Both my headlights are great, so that's one thing to look at. And then also make sure that the bumper fits well. The hood doesn't have a weird gap. I have a little teeny tiny gap from the bumper there, but it's really doesn't mess with it. And then I have AP2 lip without the seal in the middle. The gap is so small that I never bother putting in the seal, but this is pretty good fitment on the lip. You also want to check on the exterior that your fenders are not pulled or messed up. Mine actually got hit here from a tire. Mine are actually not rolled. These are OEM, and this is probably the biggest tire you can run for an OEM. This is a 17 by 9 by 63 offset. This is the largest square setup you can run, but you have to roll your rear fenders. And my emblems are also deleted on my car. One thing to look for to make sure that the side light works. OEM mirrors, make sure that the body lines are not out of whack. Make sure you can actually reach in here and feel if the fender's been rolled or not. Most S2000s, if they have upgraded rims, are going to have rolled rear fenders. It's very common. You want to reach your hand up here and make sure there's not Bondo inside the quarter panels, because there's no VIN number here, and this is commonly a place where cars get hit. So you want to make sure that there's no Bondo, and then ensure that there's no like huge dents, etc. around the vehicle. Make sure the trunk is leveled with the car. There hasn't been an accident. All my VINs are matching here, and then I have my OEM bumper, so it's pretty stock. I do have a hard top on my car and a soft top, so that's one thing to note. But the main thing is when you're looking for a car is going to be the motor. You're going to want to have a good solid motor. These motors, if you take care of them, will last you a really long time. 200,000 miles, 300,000 miles. Make sure you change the fluids. It's going to be oil, clutch fluid, brake fluid, and differential fluid religiously. Just be religious on the motor, and it will take good care of you. The main thing you're going to want to look at, though, is, let me actually get a flashlight so you can see better, is the timing chain tensioner, if I could say it correctly. The timing chain tensioner is this little. All right, part 2 is if you have an AP1, you want to make sure, this is just me being preventive maintenance, you want to change your valve springs and retainers in your AP1. The AP2s already have the stronger ones from the factory. This allows you to rev to 9,000 without having to worry about breaking or floating a valve or messing up your head. So I highly recommend you get your valves. Most people say only do the intake side. My car is 20 years old. I did all of them, just peace of mind. All 20 have been done. I also put the blade timing chain cam gear and made sure that my timing chain was adjusted correctly with the timing chain sensor. See the tensioner, I upgraded the cam gear. I did the whole head. And then why that was off, I also did the AP2 oil banjos for the oil pan. So there's no oil starvation issues if I do ever decide to boost the car. And I also put in a Blade Sport oil pan baffle pan because I did track the car and I had no issues with blow by, and I don't want to starve the car of oil and end up, spinning a bearing or whatever. So I've done those mods to ensure that this motor is healthy. Those are something to think about if you do have an AP1 to ensure you have a healthy motor, and obviously get your valve springs and retainers adjusted, as needed. So make sure that they're within spec. You're not getting like a weird clapping noise. So my car's been really well since I've taken good care of it. I've also replaced my radiator on this car. Another thing to think about is a lot of these Honda OEM radiators, they're almost 20 years old. The radiators, after 20 years, they're just not as effective. They get clogged after a while. The fins get bent from a lot of bugs. I think this is a good upgrade. It's really not that expensive and it's super easy to do. But for me, I kept the OEM shrouds, and I also upgraded my radiator hoses. Another thing, my hoses weren't ripped or anything. I'm like, I'm upgrading my radiator. I might as well get new hoses. The Mishimoto hoses offer a lifetime warranty, and they're really thick silicone compared to the OEM ones. You got to think about it. They're 20 years old. They've been in the car for 20 years. It's just another peace of mind upgrade, but it's one thing to check out to make sure you don't have like any weird leaks. And then I also had to replace my can. It was just 20 years old and was starting to crack. These are common things to look out for when you're looking at your car. So, check the radiator, make sure it's not leaking. If they have an aftermarket one, I personally think that's a plus. Most are really good. I'm not a fan of the Mishimoto radiator. I think the coil is the way to go. Or if you're gonna be like hardcore, get like a, what do they call them? Mr. Sideways or all the crazy ones. But if you're looking to just do like a daily driver, the coil is pretty overkill. But for me, I'm an overkill type of guy. There's just things you want to look out for. Make sure that, your gaskets are good. The map sensor works. Just your alternator is charging the car. You want to check the brake fluid here. Make sure that it's nice and clean. This is actually Mogul 6.6, so it looks like it's dirty, but I assure you for my car, it's brand new. And then I also have a carbon fiber radiator shroud. This just gives the car better passive cooling. It's basically free passive cooling. So check those things, and then again, you're going to want to make sure that you have good brakes. I've actually upgraded my brakes to a Blade Sport big brake kit with a W3 brake pads, Winamex W3s. I also have the full Blade Sport steel braided brake lines. So as another thing, I was like, I'm doing the brakes. I'm just going to go all out. I did all the brakes on all four wheels. I did all new fluid, and it's been 9-day difference for me. And then obviously paired with some Volk rims is amazing. I mean, you can't really go wrong with real Volk rims from Ray's. These are real rims, even though it's missing the sticker there. I assure you, they're real. But yeah, so you want to make sure that you have good brakes and tires. The tires have plenty of life, and you can check the this is the only area that has the underguard. Your rears do not have any underguard. You only have tire guard or wheel well, I guess the name of it. Your fronts are going to have it. Your rears are not. So don't be alarmed when you go to your rears and you're like, hey, where's the tire guard? But one thing to check about the rears is you want to make sure that there's not a lot of rubber underneath the bumper, because that's going to mean the person's doing a lot of burnouts or messing with the car. So you kind of want to check under the bumper here to see if there's a lot of rubber. That will kind of tell you how the person's treating the car. Just in my opinion, another thing to look out with. And then again, make sure that it's just, I upgraded my rear brakes too. You don't necessarily have to do that, but just one thing to look out for. And then with these cars is, again, the soft top. If the soft top's in bad shape, get a hard top if you can afford one. If the soft top's in bad shape, you got to consider that it's going to be a little bit to replace. And another really common thing with these cars is going to be some people don't take care of their interior pieces. They're going to start to fade. The most common thing would be bolster wear on the seats. As you see, mine has bolster wear. I have a little small rip here, and I've had this since I've owned the car, and it hasn't gotten worse because I've been pretty good about getting in and out. I'm not like rubbing my big fat butt all over it. But these seats are, 20-year-old seats. They're in pretty good shape. The replacement seats are pretty cheap. You can either reskin them or reupholster them. But honestly, it's just cheaper to buy another one. Or if you want to buy a racing seat, buy a racing seat. Again, this car is an AP1, and I've taken really good care of the dash. You'll notice my dash doesn't have any cracks. You want to kind of look around, make sure there's no cracks, make sure all the windows work. All the door panels are, basically attached. You're not missing any bolts. So this car also has an AP2 center console. I just did that because I like having two wannabe cup holders, and I just think it looks better than the AP1. So it's another upgrade I did on this car. So you want to make sure that there's no cracks, the odometer reads right, you don't have a check engine light, just things to check for when you're looking to buy an S2000. I do have a removable steering wheel. I still have my original steering wheel. My airbags were never deployed on this car. So make sure to check for that. So if someone does have a removable steering wheel, you might want to ask them like, oh, where's your original wheel? They might give you something saying like, oh, I sold it because it's worth a good amount of money, you know, with the airbags. But you want to make sure that your passenger side airbag, if possible, hasn't been deployed. Not that you can't replace that or fix that, but it's just one more thing to look for. And then you want to ensure that the soft top works. Honestly, if you're buying the car, my soft top works. I just have my hard top on right now, so I can't show you that, but I assure you it works. It actually works fine. And I go hard top to soft top quite a bit. Another thing too to look out is make sure that your mats. I have the OEM premium mats under here, but you want to make sure your carpet doesn't have any holes in it or the carpet's not all messed up, because you can replace the interior pretty cheap. You can get it for around anywhere from like $100 to $300 depending. Your color is going to make a big difference. The black's going to be a lot cheaper than like a red. If you want to go all red interior, that's going to cost you way more money. And then you also want to ensure that your cigarette lighter works here. Otherwise, you're going to have to be rewiring your cigarette lighter. And then ensure that this is your cargo lock. Make sure that the cargo lock works, the trunk works, and this thing works up here. Make sure all these work and lock. Otherwise, you spend like $80, $100 on another unit to replace this. And then this is your wind guard. Make sure that it goes up and down. Make sure your e-brake works. And then another thing I recommend is obviously start the car. But if you're looking around, feel the shifter. I have done the shifter re-grease on my car. It helps tremendously to go in all the gears. It's like, hear my clicks? It's butter. Every gear is butter smooth. I have a brand new clutch in this car. I've done the re-greasing and it shifts perfectly. The car was in neutral. Don't worry when I did that. And then the dash, make sure that the dash obviously works. And then most of the time, people are going to have aftermarket decks. So unless they buy the, what is it? Firewire or whatever that website is. Car something or other. You can get it to this works. But most of the time, this stuff here is not going to work. So just don't be alarmed if it doesn't work. It's not that huge of a deal. You can always wire it on your deck, depending on your deck. You're kind of limited on options with your sound system in the S2000. But like I said, I don't see a lot of people going crazy system. They do offer double DINs and stuff coming out now, but most people are just going to be stuck with a single deck. So just note that about the S2000. It's a driver's car. It doesn't have a lot of creature comforts in it. And then again, check to make sure your most windows are going to be pitted from all the stuff. So mine's pretty pitted. So check on your window glasses, anywhere from like $100 to $300 to replace your window. The soft top can be anywhere from $1,000. Sorry, showing my garage. Anywhere from $1,000 to like $2,000, depending on where you go. And then hard tops. This is a forbidden hard top. These are one of the cheaper ones you can get. Forbiddens can be for under $2,000, you know, with glass. And then my car has, I did the Blade Sport. This is my most embarrassing thing on my car. I did the windowsill, and as you can see, I did not do a very good job. I thought I could install it myself. It didn't originally have a seal. It was sealless, and I didn't like the sealless look. And when I put the seal, I hated the seal, and it's like, you know, it's already on there. You're going to do what you got to do. And then, again, with your trunk, make sure, I have the big brake kit, so I can't run a spare tire, so I run an air inflator and a tire kit. And I have a torque wrench to ensure that my lugs are torqued down. But you want to make sure that the trunk has all the trunk pieces, all these plastic pieces in here. And you want to open up the bottom and make sure there's no rust. So if you live in a state with rust, make sure there's no rust. Make sure that your VIN on your trunk matches the rest of the car. Make sure that the trunk closes and opens. These are just little things to look out for the car. Ensure that you have the S2000 mini antenna. Someone didn't swap it out for something else. These are worth a little bit of money. They get stolen sometimes. And again, make sure that your headlights do not have any water in them. Very important, water. You don't want water leaking. You can even ask the person, oh, do you mind if I run a hose through it to make sure that the headlights are not getting any condensation, because headlights are not cheap. So mine are in really good shape. Again, I've done like stuff. I've done put protective stuff. You know, I wax the car to ensure it's, you know, it is where it is. But those are just some of the few things to look at if you're interested in buying a Honda S2000, or in my case, modifying your S2000. I'm pretty big on doing modifications on the car that make it better. I have nothing against a stock car. If you want to leave a stock, go all the way in. But everything I've done, in my opinion, has made the car that much more reliable and better. So this is kind of like an OEM plus. But if you're looking to buy one, these are things you want to look out for. There's a lot of pitfalls I see people running into. So best of luck on your Honda S2000 adventures. If you're interested in this car, you know, shoot me a DM. You know, it's not for sale, but I wouldn't be opposed to selling it for the right price. And yeah, enjoy your day.